Imagine buying an army with IOUs that don't officially exist. No public vote, no clean budget line, just secret paper promises and a ticking debt bomb under the whole economy. That's how Hitler paid for tanks and planes, while Germany was broke. Because on paper, early 1930s Germany is a wreck, a country still under the shadow of World War I, chained by reparations, scarred by hyperinflation memories, and smashed by the Great Depression. Millions are unemployed, factories sit quiet, banks are shaky. So when you see what happens next, runways filling with aircraft, barracks swelling with men, panzers rolling out like it's a rich empire, you're supposed to ask the one question the regime didn't want asked. Where did the money come from? And here's the promise. By the end of this story, you'll understand the hidden trick that paid for the Nazis' buildup, and why it made war feel less like a choice and more like a requirement. Because this wasn't a normal economic recovery, it was a machine. And machines like this don't slow down gently. They either keep expanding, or they tear themselves apart. So let's jump into the money room, where the first weapon wasn't a tank, it was a piece of paper. The Nazis started rearming fast, but they can't just write war spending in the budget and expect the world to shrug. Germany is still pretending, at least publicly, to be restrained. So they built a mask. A shell company called Mefo, backed by the state, but designed to look like ordinary business. And the man helping shape this trick? Hjalmar Schacht, a key financial figure in the early Nazi years. Mefo's job wasn't to manufacture anything. Mefo's job was to sign IOUs that could turn into real money. Here's how the trick works, plain and simple. Arms companies build weapons, and instead of being paid with normal cash, they're paid with Mefo bills, promissory notes that say, you'll get your money later. The arms maker can hold the note and earn interest, or take it to the bank and convert it into money sooner. So factories keep running, workers keep getting paid, steel keeps turning into weapons. It's like the government ordering 1,000 cars, handing the dealership a stack of IOU slips, and the bank quietly promising, don't worry, we'll honor those. But here's the part that turns this from clever to dangerous. Those IOUs are timers. Every new plane means more paper. Every new tank means another promise. And promises aren't free, just delayed. So Germany looks like it's bouncing back, but under the floorboards, the debt pile is growing, quietly, constantly. And the regime needs people to feel the miracle immediately. Jobs, wages, motion, because momentum is power. So they push spending hard, not just on rearmament, but on huge state projects that put crews to work and give the public a visible story. We're rising again. Let's talk control, because the money trick alone isn't enough. The Nazis crush independent unions and remove normal worker leverage. They steer the economy towards state goals. Industries get pulled into line through pressure, coordination, and fear. When a regime controls the rules of the game, it can force resources into armaments without the normal friction that slows democracies down. Less debate, less resistance, more production, more weapons. But even with debt and control, there's a bigger problem: resources. Tanks don't run on speeches, planes don't fly on slogans. They need fuel, rubber, metals, food. Germany doesn't have enough of what it needs, especially oil. So the regime chases autarky, self-sufficiency, synthetic fuel, synthetic rubber, stockpiling, planning. And here's the quiet revelation. When your economy is built for war, scarcity doesn't just become a problem, it becomes a motive. And now we hit the darkest layer: extraction at home. As the Nazi state escalates persecution, Jews and other targeted groups are stripped of rights and livelihoods, and then pushed through coercive sales, confiscations, fines, and exclusions that transfer wealth to the state and regime favorites. Businesses are forced out, assets are seized, property changes hands under pressure. This wasn't just hatred in the streets. It became policy in the ledgers. And then, the machine reaches outward. In 1938, Austria is annexed. Soon after, Czechoslovakia is carved apart. These moves aren't just about flags on maps. They bring banks, reserves, factories, and raw materials under Nazi control. Because conquest is the perfect shortcut when your bills are piling up. You don't have to raise taxes at home if you can take what you need elsewhere. Once the war begins, the funding model grows teeth. Occupied countries are forced to shoulder the cost of occupation through levies, requisitions, and economic systems that funnel value into Germany. Goods move to the Reich, labor is exploited, local economies are bent around the German military's needs. It's like breaking into a house, declaring you're in charge, and then making the homeowners pay you for the privilege, while you eat their pantry bare. Now right here, everything clicks, because the original question wasn't, how did Hitler get money? It was, how did he pay when Germany was broke? And the answer is, he didn't pay like a normal country pays. He financed rearmament with delayed promises, Mefo bills. He forced the economy into obedience, and he fed the system with stolen wealth, first from victims inside Germany, then from conquered nations. But the most important piece is what this created, a war economy that couldn't safely stop. Because those paper promises, they eventually come due. Those hidden timers start ringing. The Nazi economic miracle was a debt engine that needed expansion to keep from collapsing. If you keep winning, you loot more resources. If you loot more resources, you keep factories running. If factories run, jobs stay high. If jobs stay high, the regime looks successful. But if the winning stops, the engine seizes. Debt becomes panic. Scarcity becomes crisis. Control becomes brutality. And the bill comes screaming back. By the early 1940s, Germany is squeezed. Civilian goods are scarce. Rationing bites. Allied bombing damages production. Supply lines stretched thin. And the regime pushes harder because slowing down would expose a lie at the center that the prosperity was never stable. It was borrowed. So when you watch tanks roll and planes rise and think, how did they afford this? Remember, the first payment wasn't cash, it was a promise. And the promise was backed by fear, control, and theft. Germany was bankrupt, and the Nazis hid the cost long enough to launch a war. Because that's how it works with history. You can bury the truth in paperwork, you can hide the bill in the shadows. You can call it a miracle and march past the questions. But the past doesn't disappear. It waits, it returns, it gets louder. History never dies. It just echoes. Subscribe.